mean, the topic is going to stand strong. Whether you went to a college, university, or not, it's still relevant because we all are, as we stand, check the pigment of the skin, historically black. Now, these are schools that were created and inspired from our ancestors, our families, who originated in the early 1900s and some far back as the late 1800s. And they reached out to decide that it was necessary for us to have higher education and learn, when it was actually a crime to even read. That's powerful. It was actually a crime for us not to even be able to read, and we've moved on as a society and as a people to have our own collegiate facilities and higher learning facilities. To me, that speaks volumes, especially here in the 21st century and going forward. You know, we're going to look about and take a look at that as far as our children and what type of legacy and what type of information that's going to share. We're going to talk about some good things and some bad things. So keep that in mind as we discuss this topic. So the first question I want to bring to the panel tonight, as we discuss and people start to come on into the show, is why is there a need for an HBCU? I mean, they have other colleges here that are set in place. They have other universities. They have the Spelmans. They have the Harvards. Here in Texas, they have the University of Texas, A&Ms, things of that nature. If these schools are already in place, and their legacy is to be what it is, then why is there a need for an HBCU? Amari, you want to start that off and we'll bring the panel back this way?
Oh, man. Oh, yes, okay, I guess I can. Everyone can hear me, I believe. You might want the mic just for recording purposes, though.
The question was, why is there a need for HBCUs, or is there? Well, having had the option to go to an HBCU or not, I believe that it is definitely a need. As a matter of fact, I feel that every, this is my personal opinion, every black person, every black student that graduates high school should at least attend an HBCU for 1 year. Well, the reason for that is that the experience that you will get at an HBCU versus what I like to call a PWC, predominantly white college or university, PWC, is totally different. One thing that you'll get is you'll get a lot of culture. You will actually be able to respect education on a level that you would not get at a predominantly white college or university. The reason for that is everyone that I know that went to an HBCU, personally, there was a few courses that you had to take that were university courses that gave the history of the university, the history of the individuals who started it, what was the basis of it being started, you know, the struggles that they went through just to be able to learn. You know, having a small one room, you know, many of the universities were starting in a place smaller than what we have here right now. And they produce more black scientists, black athletes at that time, doctors, teachers, and still today, many of the black teachers, the majority of black teachers in most states come from HBCUs. And also black nurses as well. Yeah, like in the state of Arkansas, the majority of the black teachers come from the black colleges that we have.
Did anybody else know that?
Yes. And so the experience that you will get going to an HBCU is wonderful. Many of my friends who did not attend an HBCU, if they were struggling academically, if they were struggling socially, if they were struggling financially, they didn't get the kind of help that we got at an HBCU. You know, if you didn't come to class, you know, so what? That's on you at their schools. Whereas at an HBCU, most of the people I know, if you didn't graduate at an HBCU, it was your fault. Because everyone that was there did everything that they could, from the faculty, staff, students, everyone on the campus, and even the people in the community, wanted to see you graduate. So, and that still stands today. And so, yeah, most people don't get that at predominantly white colleges and universities.
I definitely think that there is a need. For one, historically, as Amani was saying, you get a sense of culture, of who you are, definitely where you need to be. And you're reminded constantly of those who have gone before you. And having assisted countless number of students in that search, students who are graduating are at a pivotal time in their lives where they're making a lot of decisions. And they're also coming of age and trying to decide, what path to go on, etc. And speaking from a West Coast experience, a lot of them have been living in La La Land. They don't think that there is anything outside of California. It's a foreign world to them, and they definitely need to understand that people did wonderful things. Our people did wonderful things and have gone on academically to achieve, business-wise to achieve, and at the base of, from what I found, at the base of everyone African-American that you see that's successful, there's been a grandparent, there's been a parent, there's been someone who has graced an HBCU. And for that alone, we need to pass those traditions on, we need to pass on that legacy. My son was saying, oh, well, maybe I should go here, maybe I should go there. I said, you are going out of state to an HBCU, so pick one. We have over 100 and some odd of them to choose from. So you'll find what you're looking for on one of those campuses. But, my thing was that I wanted him to have a different experience because he came from a place where there were only 79 African-American students at his school. And I'm sure we'll get into some things later on about athletics because I too have a book out called Huddle Up, and I touch bases on some of that in the book. But definitely, if for no other reason, because you love our children, and you want them to have a strong sense of who they are, and definitely want to let them know where they're going.
Put you on the spot. Those were interesting. Well, this is worth conversation. I agree with. I definitely agree with you. Absolutely. I don't know if I agree with you so much. I don't really think so. The thing is that, okay, that's what I'm about to say. Because, I'm a product from, actually my family, my dad's side, they all went to HBCUs. Okay, they went to Jackson State, they went to Alcorn, and Grant One, and those good schools. And my mom's side, though, they went to Stoneman in Ohio State, and they were a very, very mixed culture family. But for me, they were telling me, especially in a young age, that I feel like in Nicholas, there's all these great HBCUs that are out there, and I learned the history about the HBCUs, and I was really, really striving into it. But what I wanted to do was, I wanted to go to Morehouse. That was the school that I wanted to go to ever since I was 5 years old. Because I said, hey, I'm going to Morehouse, I want to study medicine over there. From there, I'm going to go to Meharry, I want to be an obstetrician. And I was like, that's the way I wanted to go ahead and do it. And I learned, talk to my parents, talk to other people in the family, whatever, go ahead and ascribe to that. But when I went over there, because the area that I live in is very predominantly white, I must admit that. In my neighborhood, seriously, I could have to say, there's only 8 black families in my neighborhood. But the school I went to was socially diverse, by high school. So by the time when I went over to Morehouse, for me, I didn't feel that people actually gave me the direction that I actually wanted. I told them, hey, I want to go into medicine. Basically, they just told me, okay, so what? Now, if someone actually comes up to me and tells me something like that, or doesn't want to basically give me the time of day, it's actually just not a place I'm really quite interested in. Now, for my brother went to Tennessee State University, and when he was there, he didn't have a good time at all. Not one bit. It was absolutely awful. Now, when we're talking about why is there a need